All right, New Orleans, welcome to the Jack Clegg Show here on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com for the audio podcast, and YouTube for the Jack Clegg Show. And we have so much to talk about today. What a huge week in news. And we're going to be judgmental today. We're going to talk about judgment. One of the key factors to becoming an adult. We don't expect children to exercise good judgment. We expect them to be educated. Once they're educated, then we hope that they exercise sound judgment. How do they know it's sound judgment or not? Well, because when they're smaller and they make mistakes, they suffer consequences, or they should anyway. And if they suffer consequences, they're going to say, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. And that's pretty much how most of us learn. If we do it right, sometimes that's by accident. And we don't even know we've done it right. So judgment is really important. It is a misunderstood concept. I can remember during my lifetime in the 80s and the 90s, there seemed to be a push against judgment. Don't be so judgmental. Don't be so judgmental. Don't be so judgmental. And I guess a lot of people weren't, because in the last 10 years, I've seen people in positions of leadership, people in position of being adults over children, afraid to exercise judgment. They didn't want to have judgment. We can look at many very common issues. The transgender issue. Okay, we literally had doctors charging parents up to $70,000 to perform a variety of surgeries and so forth on children, not even 15 years old yet, to change their sexes. Wait a minute. What caused them to do that? Because the child wanted that? Is that what it was? So judgment is a huge issue. And I'm going to bring it down to something local here in New Orleans, and which affects every politician. To be a politician, you have to navigate the issue of judgment. And let me try to explain that. I'll try to be as brief as I can on what that judgment is. Okay, as a politician, you represent a constituency. Usually it's geographic, the people who I live near. Now, if you're in the House of Representatives, you are in a district. Somebody has drawn on a map, and the people in that district may vote for you, or they may vote for someone else. Part of that voting is the assessment of your judgment. What is your judgment? And we have two types that pretty much control everything. One, your moral judgment. What does that mean? Is something right or wrong? And the voters should, unless they're being tricked, know what your position on various issues is or might be if a new issue comes up. This is the kind of position he would take. A voter will say, well, if something new comes up, how's she going to act? Is she going to be in favor of it, against it? Is she going to fight against it hard? Is she going to fight against it easy? Is she going to compromise with that? The second type of judgment is legal judgment. Now, I'm not talking about lawyers. I'm talking about real legal judgment. What do you mean by that, Jack? I'm not talking about a judge in a case where the plaintiff and the defendant, or multiple plaintiffs and multiple defendants, are fighting over what the law says. I'm talking about the people who make our laws. That's legal judgment. That is a decision on the part of each and every one of the legislators, whether they're state legislators in Louisiana or whether there are representatives in Congress representing us. They make legal judgments. Okay, so the issue is between moral judgments and legal judgments. And right now, we're at a magnificent time. Oh my gosh, this is such a terrific time because we have a president who is exercising legal judgments. Presidents can make executive orders. They have the force of law, unless the judiciary steps in and says, no, this is what you're doing is contrary to the Constitution, or some other reason, maybe violates another law or whatever. But generally, the president in executive orders is taking and making a moral judgment. Okay, boy, when you make a moral judgment, you better be right. Okay, let me give you an example of a moral judgment that was made that was dead wrong because the person who made it was ignorant, was completely ignorant. The person was pushed to make the decision by bad information. Now, the fact that many of the people who voted for him believe that same bad information is irrelevant. He was the one that made the decision. And what am I talking about? All right. This is an example of moral judgment that was made. It was turned into legal judgment, and now we all suffer. All right, what was that? All right. When Trump's first term was over and he was running for president again, he ran against Biden. President Trump was in favor of having a strong American economy and, in particular, having an American position which was strong on energy. You remember, we had all kinds of projects that were going on. Fracking was in the East Coast, many other states. We had fracking in North Louisiana and Arkansas. We had fracking was big. We had, what are they called? Pipelines all over from Canada down to Texas, down to the coast. Pipelines were being built. And one of the huge issues was a massive pipeline system. And it got all kinds of publicity. It was in the papers all the time. When Biden won, one of the first things he did was say, we're going to stop the construction of this pipeline. And what was his reason? Well, it was kind of, sort of, that we can only fight global climate change or hot weather, whatever it was at the time, because it changed all automatically. But we can only change that if we stop driving cars and we stop polluting the environment, without any necessary science behind that. Okay, so the moral judgment was, it wasn't exactly certain, but lives would be saved if we stop building this pipeline. Well, what about the thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs? What about the people that were going to work there? President Biden had an answer. Let them do coding. You remember that? He said, let them do coding. They can find out to be coders. Do you know what being a coder is? That's working in a computer science lab where you are coding for software. You're coding for a variety of aspects of the information and the data which is being done. Okay, maybe that sounds good. But in 2000, by that, they were already talking about AI. What is AI? Artificial intelligence. What can AI do better than people? Coding. They do coding. And right now, only 4 years afterwards, people are saying, if you want to stay employed, you better find something other than coding, because AI, you're dead. There are no jobs for coding. And that's true. It's happening. And people are getting out of that because AI can do it. It's one of the few things directly that AI is going to put people out. Okay, we got to take a break. We're going to come back to the Jack Clegg Show. The phone number here is 504-556-9696. 504-556-9696. Call us. We're going to talk about other aspects. Take a break right now.
Crescent. Crow and Crescent provides customizable handmade gifts, tumbler cups, and much more. All items are handmade with care and can be gift wrapped with personalized messages. For more information, you can find us at crowandcrescent.com and on Instagram. Crow and Crescent, let us show you the right gift for any occasion.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. when we explore health from doctors, researchers, scientists, naturopaths, pharmacists, authors, fitness, and more. You'll be able to call in and ask your own health questions. So join me, Susan Berniker, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM with Health Connections.
Hey guys, this is Lisa Leonardi, the host of the new show Live with Lisa Unscripted, every Monday at 4 p.m. drive time here on WGSO.
Hi everybody, this is Jackie Gumbo. I'm inviting you to join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo, heard only on WGSO 990 AM or WGSO.com.
Hey, this is BJ Russ. Make sure you join me every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be on from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll talk sports, music, movies, and pretty much anything in between. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. That's the place to be. And don't forget that you can listen to us on WGSO.com and on the Mixler app.
Calling all home cooks, whether you're a kitchen pro or just love to stir the pot. Chew on This is your Saturday destination for culinary inspiration. Join Don Clement and me, Patty B, every week at 1 p.m. on Saturdays at WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. We'll talk with chefs, cookbook authors, food artisans, and passionate home cooks just like you. Get tips, tricks, and tasty ideas to bring into your own kitchen. That's Chew on This, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on WGSO.
Hey, this is Nicole Dornack. Join me Saturdays for Nick at Noon. I will be discussing food, libations, the arts, life, and everything that makes our city great. Saturdays at noon, only on WGSO 990 AM.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the second inning of the Jack Clegg Show here on WGSO 990 AM. WGSO.com for the audio podcast and the Jack Clegg Show on YouTube. Okay, what we were talking about, the big principle we're getting across today is the distinction between moral judgment and legal judgment. Okay, moral judgments everyone can have and so forth. Legal judgments are what politicians are required to do, okay, to do their job well. And their job, and not an easy one, is to take the moral judgments that they believe a majority of people have and turn that into law, okay? Either wipe out old laws or create new ones, okay? And we were talking before the break about one in particular, and this one affected so many Americans. And it was a decision to stop building pipelines, construction projects that were going to help American energy. Why? Why was that done? All these jobs were taken away. two things happened. One, it was a dumb idea in the first place. The science behind it was not established. There may have been some moral outrage. Oh my gosh, how can they send pipelines full of oil, dirty, icky oil around the country and put it in cars, and then we're going to kill everybody? Well, that science is not so. Okay? That science is not so. And the rest of the world believes it as well. Country after country after country is being scammed or has been scammed into this green energy movement. But putting that aside, our government made the decision, our President Biden made the decision that, well, we don't worry about those jobs. Okay, those people that are that's their profession, their career. They can go into coding, C-O-D-I-N-G, coding, which is short for working on computerized information and coding that information for software and make that faster. Okay. AI does that. AI does it. It's only 4 years later where all those jobs are going to disappear. Nobody. If you told your child, if you asked your 15-year-old, you want to go to college? Yeah, I want to go to college. What do you want to do? Oh, computer science. I'd like to be a coder. If you let them do that, you're making a mistake. Those jobs are not there. AI is going to take those jobs. Every expert is saying that. So what else? What else? Another great example of a moral judgment that leads to legal judgments that we're now cutting back. Okay, the Floyd murder, Mr. Floyd in Minnesota. Okay, everybody who saw those videos was upset with the police and what they did. They thought it was overkill. And I don't mean kill literally, but they believe what they did was more than they should have. Most people don't know about how you physically disarm someone, and particularly the person who fights back, what you have to do. Okay, they did what they did. All right. The moral outrage tends to be different than the legal outrage. Okay, the legal outrage follows the moral. All right, the moral outrage, I remember hearing it, where people were saying, well, the only way to solve this, from preventing it from happening again, is defunding the police. Oh, hold on. Defunding the police is a legal judgment. Okay, we're going to pass a law, or we're going to make a requirement that police departments will get less money than they did before because we think that will prevent a George Floyd incident. The dumbest reasoning you could ever have. Okay, so we decided, city after city, and you're living in one in New Orleans, city after city, the West Coast, the East Coast, everywhere. Cities said, well, we're going to change our laws. Following this moral judgment that if we give the police department money, they're going to kill people. Absolutely irrational. No. I remember hearing individuals that would be pursuing this approach, and they would say, 85,000 people were killed by police. Numbers that were just completely bogus. But city after city after city, the leaders took that advice. So what's happening today? Well, let's take an issue. Homelessness. Okay? Now, one of the things that prevented people from becoming homeless was that lifestyle led to illegal action. What do you mean illegal action? It's not illegal to be homeless. Well, in the pursuit of your homelessness, you often break the law. How so? Well, we have laws against vagrancy. We have laws against trespassing. We have laws against peeing in public or taking a poop in public. We have laws against those things. Yeah, but if the police don't enforce those laws because we don't have enough police officers to do that, what happens? If the law is not enforced, it's not existing. So the moral judgment that there was a killing that was done that was wrong suddenly swept into every city, and because they had limits on how much money they could pay their police force, they had to limit the number of crimes the police could look into. This exploded homelessness. It exploded. And the lifestyle in homelessness, I mean, I wouldn't want it, but many people have chosen that lifestyle. And we have other people who actually spend money giving money to homeless people, giving equipment to hold it, blankets and pillows and other things. I've seen this happen. All of it. Where the legal judgment was, we're not going to pursue those laws, which you've had here for hundreds of years to protect the public. What's going to happen? During the next break, we're going to talk about how this breakdown in legal judgment, and we have it right here in New Orleans. We have the beginning of a mayoral campaign for the city of New Orleans, which should be changed, and it's not changed. We're going to get to it in a minute after the break.
Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
Hey, folks, the Mike Church Show is moving back to mornings. Faster than you can say, LSU is CWS and Jello Shot World Champions. 6 to 7 a.m. on WGSO and CrusadeChannel.com.
Atomic batteries to power.
Now, everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
If you relate to these clips playing in the background, there you go. You will enjoy Everything Old is New Again right here on WGSO. Hi, this is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Join us for the fun every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on WGSO.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 4:30 or 5:30 a.m. for Turning Point on the community voice of the Crescent City WGSO.
Hi, this is Rusty, owner of the Olive Branch Cafe. I'm excited about my new radio show, The Best Bank Hour, every Tuesday at 4. We'll be discussing people, places, events, and issues, all things Best Bank, every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Brought to you by the Olive Branch Cafe with locations in Marrero and Algiers. So join me every Tuesday at 4 p.m. for The Best Bank Hour, right here on WGSO 990.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your
Louisiana Radio Network News, I'm Case Kieschnick. In a long-threatened move, Republicans have withdrawn all federal funding from PBS and NPR stations. Andrew Greenstein reports.
Senator John Kennedy was among the Republicans who led the charge to pull federal funding from public TV and radio stations.
We don't fund CNN. We don't fund Fox News. We don't fund newspapers.
Why are we funding PBS and NPR and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting?
Jay Curtis, the general manager of Monroe NPR station KEDM, answers that question by saying that public broadcast stations like his play an important role in their local communities.
Having an independent station here in our corner of the state helps us matter to the needs of the people that we serve right here in our region.
I'm Andrew Greenstein.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser says the National Lieutenant Governors Association started the new State Strategies Committee on Aerospace.
We're going to work with those states now through a committee of the lieutenant governors to see those spaceports and that private sector come, and Louisiana is in a great position to take advantage of that.
LRN.
No more mold, no more damage, no more outdated old bathroom, no more slipping and hurting, no more stress. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. Be stress-free. Call 800-770-5322. BCI Bath and Shower is made in America for the highest quality. Ask about our military and senior discounts. Your dream bathroom in as little as 1 day. First 50 callers save $1,500 on a never clear glass treated door. Call now for free premium color upgrades. 800-770-5322. Call BCI Bath and Shower, the leader in bathroom remodeling. Be smart, safe, and stay a step ahead of inflation with our interest-free financing options. Call 800-770-5322. Love your bathroom with free upgrades. Call 800-770-5322. That's 800-770-5322.
America's schools are closing, which can be especially tough on students who struggle with poverty, hunger, and trauma. But Communities in Schools can help. Our organization puts caring adults inside schools to help vulnerable students stay in school. Now, in the face of crisis, we're working beyond school walls, delivering meals to students, helping them access remote learning, doing whatever it takes to help them succeed. To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
Support comes from Satchmo Summerfest, presented by New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Fund, a friends and family friendly festival on August 2nd and 3rd at the New Orleans Jazz Museum, featuring live music, local food vendors, and discussions with Satchmo scholars from noon until 8 p.m. For more information, go to satchmosummerfest.org.
Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Right here on WGSO.
Chef Jamie Gwen here. Tune in for delicious conversation and let me feed your soul every Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
New Orleans isn't just a city, it's a story, and I'm here to tell it. I'm Richard Bienvenu, host of a brand new radio show all about the food, music, history, and culture that make this city unlike any other. Join me every Monday at 5 p.m. as we uncover hidden gems, share incredible stories, and take you deep into the heart of the Crescent City. Whether you're a local or just love New Orleans, this is your show. That's Completely New Orleans, Mondays at 5 p.m. on WGSO. Come join us.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show, the third inning of the show. And we'll get to some callers right now. Perhaps they have an issue. We can talk about this distinction between moral judgment and legal judgment. Matthew, how are you today?
I'm doing well. So before we get to the distinction between moral judgment and legal judgment,
yes,
and one of the things you brought up that relates to something you ended the show with last week.
Okay.
This stuff about the Epstein files is people all twither about that and all upset about that. And it took listening to Mimi Cruer talking about it and how Donald Trump hardly ever talked about it. It was brought up mostly by media people.
Sure.
And then suddenly that Axios, that conveniently timed Axios story comes out, call it a leak, call it a drop, whatever have you, and it all just blows up. And next thing you know, I'm reading that Donald Trump is a pedophile, is protecting pedophiles, and et cetera, ad infinitum.
Sure.
And it occurs to me that Donald Trump did not have possession of said files from 2019 until April of 2025.
Right.
I mean, not April, January of 2025.
Okay.
Now, I'm supposed to assume the Democrats wouldn't have modified those files in any way?
Well,
They wouldn't have added or subtracted anything?
well, I'll ask an
Paragons of virtue.
even simpler question. Considering the actions, not discussions, not what ifs, the actual actions of a variety of jurisdictions, the federal jurisdiction, the New York jurisdiction, the Georgia jurisdiction, the Florida jurisdiction, against Trump.
Yes.
If this information was possessed, why didn't they go after him for this?
They hadn't manufactured it yet.
Well, that answers the question. If it didn't exist, they had nothing to do. Now that it somehow, the theory is now it exists. Okay, so your conclusion, as most rational thinkers would be, is that, wait a minute, we saw what they did against Trump for those 4 years that Biden was in office. If he was caught jaywalking,
Russia.
Right. Of course, before that, they fabricated and manufactured claims. They went after him then. They went after him while he was out of office.
Yes.
But the sexiest crime, pedophilia, young girls. Why didn't they go after him for that?
The most scandalous.
Exactly.
It's effective. I wouldn't use that word.
Well, you know what I mean. Okay.
I know exactly what you mean.
So all of those things which would have gotten the country in an uproar, they didn't do
and
it.
there'd be no way he would have beaten even Kamala Harris.
Well, it would have been a huge challenge, and it was nothing. So why is it because the DOJ under Merrick Garland was so incompetent? Is that why? Or
they were ruthless.
Or there's one. I'm putting my thinking cap on without being a Trump supporter. Okay, there's one reason why they wouldn't go after Trump. Because if they did, let's assume just for a minute, just make a world up, a fabricated world, that Trump was on one of those trips, or maybe more than one. Okay. Why wouldn't they have that made public?
I think they would have.
Right. I'm 99% sure they wouldn't. There's 1% chance they wouldn't. And that is that on one or more of those Trumps, there was trips with Trump. We call them trimps. Okay. On one of those trimps, there were other people, and they made the decision, well, if we go after Trump, he's going to name those other people, so we better not do it. That would be the only possible. And I don't think there was anybody they liked as much as hated Trump.
I think you're correct there.
Yes.
So,
and
I'd call it less than 1%. You call it 1%.
And I would agree. I would not argue with you if you said it was a 0.3%.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's obvious to me what's going on with that. Now, you had mentioned the issue coming along with the people who work in pipelines being told to.
Oh, the coders. Yeah, become a coder.
Yes.
You could add to that in your industry. Do you remember the mitigation? Well, don't worry about those jobs. You can become a coder. Do you remember him doing this?
Oh, God, yes. It was like somebody rolled a bomb into the oil industry and set it off.
Yes,
it was a disaster for us.
Yep. Yep.
The entire 4 years, it was like, all right, we're not into expansion. Let's just hope we can pay our bills and keep the doors open.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And all because the creature that was Emperor Joe Biden was told that this was how he's going to fight man, bear, pig.
Right.
And, but nonetheless, supposing you were a young man looking to get married and start your family, and you decided to, you were working on pipelines,
Mm-hmm.
and you were counting on this.
Sure.
And so here comes Emperor Joe Biden and shuts everything down. Well, now starting your family looks impossible, and playing video games possible. Maybe you don't get married. Maybe you just play video games.
Well,
but suppose you made the transition to coding. Here comes AI.
Well,
Maybe you don't get married.
My
Maybe you just play
point
video games.
my point here, and you're repeating what we said. My point here, back to the theme of the show, is moral judgments can come from a variety of sources. Okay? Many of them are emotional. Many of them do not have a rational basis. Many of them are the gut feeling you have that the people who oppose you are in favor of it. Therefore, I'm going to be against it. And that's what Joe Biden did. That's what Joe Biden did. He knew that there were many people who opposed the oil industry for a variety of reasons. But the easiest and the most virtuous was because we're going to save the planet. We're going to save Earth by laying off all these guys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. And so people need to realize. So today, when we hear politicians in what are Chicago and Los Angeles, oh my God, the mayor of Chicago made this speech. Oh my gosh, I was just embarrassed to be from Chicago to hear it, where no Chicago police officer will assist an ICE agent. I'm like, what are you doing? They have made this decision, and I guess it's the best I could give them is a moral judgment that everybody has the right to live wherever they want. And if you stand,
weirdly enough, ANCAP.
and if you stand in the way, you are immoral. Okay? And if in the United States, if you've come in here illegally, well, it's like being, alley ocean, free. It's like being 6 years old again and playing the game. If you get there and hold on to the railing, you're free. That is the logic. And we have people running this country that are actually doing this. They run cities and they're actually doing this, and they don't even, how is it that they cannot see the amount of money that taxpayers are paying? That's the legal judgment.
Because it's not their money.
Right. They have the freedom to be immoral because it's not their money. Well, that's where they fall down in the legal judgment side. That's where they fall down. And so I'm begging all of the listeners to try to understand that nuanced difference. And we have an election coming up here in New Orleans. And in that election in New Orleans, have you heard one single solitary legal judgment from any of the candidates, things they're going to do to change New Orleans? Have you heard one?
It would be hard for me to place anything on a specific thing. Well, maybe one thing. Oliver Thomas has said that the chief of police should be an elected position.
And I remember I was actually present at a function where he said that. Can you hold on for the next break? And also, we have another caller, Dotsie. If you'll hold on, we'll get to you in the next section, ma'am. Right now, we got to take a break. We got to sell some stuff. We'll be back in a moment with the Jack Clegg Show.
Looking for the perfect personalized gift for your friends and loved ones? Then look no further than Crow and Crescent. Crow and Crescent provides customizable handmade gifts, tumbler cups, and much more. All items are handmade with care and can be gift wrapped with personalized messages. For more information, you can find us at crowandcrescent.com and on Instagram. Crow and Crescent, let us show you the right gift for any occasion.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
Hey, do you ever wonder who really listens to talk radio? Or even, who is this new Lisa and why are we going live with her? And what does it mean to be unscripted? Hey guys, my name is Lisa Leonardi and I am the new talk show host of Live with Lisa Unscripted. My show is about living our unique NOLA life with a touch of inappropriateness and a ton of side-splitting laughs to get you home every Monday at 4 p.m. here on WGSO 990 AM.
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. Doctors, researchers, authors, and more. Join me Wednesdays at 5 o'clock right here on WGSO 990 AM.
Hi, gang. This here's Uncle Jackie from Uncle Jackie's Gumbo. Heard here each and every Sunday live at 5 on WGSO 990 on the AM down to Wallace and WGSO.com. Join us each week as we interview musicians, writers, actors, and artists. Everyone's welcome to Uncle Jackie's Gumbo, Sundays live at 5 on WGSO.com and WGSO 990 on the AM down New Orleans. Uncle Jackie's Gumbo.
It's pet trendologist Charlotte Reed. Listen to the latest pet trends with benefits on the Pet Buzz, airing every Saturday at 6 p.m. Join me as I talk all things pets, from animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, the newest pet products, celebrity pet gossip, breaking news, and more. Our expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about our unique program, our guests, and me, your host, listen to the show on WGSO 990, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Join me, BJ Rust, every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show on WGSO 990 AM and streaming live on WGSO.com.
Don't get stuck in boring talk radio. Give it a much-needed splash of laughs and a little Southern Louisiana flavor. The Implicit Bias Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on WGSO 990 AM.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show, WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com for the audio podcast, and YouTube, the Jack Clegg Show. You can watch it after the show. It usually starts right after the show's over. Okay, we were still talking to Matthew. Matthew, you had a point you wanted to make.
Well, the other thing you were talking about was how when the police are arresting somebody, it never looks pretty. Well, if you ever see any of the Cash Jordan videos of ICE at work, either arresting the anti-ICE saboteurs or the illegal aliens, that doesn't look pretty either.
No, it doesn't.
It's amazing how much crying they can do.
Well, and exactly, and you're and on the topic of moral judgment versus legal judgment, this is right down the center. Okay,
and it's amazing how much of that gets broadcast on NBC TV.
Absolutely.
Wonder why NBC. it's not fun to look at.
No, and I remember, I think I may discuss this last Friday or the Friday before, I forget. And they literally have stereotypical names for the people that are being arrested. It's Juan and Maria, right?
Yes.
Juan, the hardworking agricultural work, and if he didn't do the work, Americans would starve. Or Maria.
Or not be able to get their marijuana.
Isn't that? I mean, there is another moral judgment tied up in a legal judgment, and the fact that in some places marijuana growing is legal because the big pharma and big medicine has decided to help out people by saying, well, we need this marijuana therapy. This marijuana therapy is important for so many
And it
people.
does have therapeutic effects.
And many things have therapeutic effects, but this one is so absolutely perfect to take the moral high ground on, even though we know that marijuana is being sold by students in high schools who would rather sell that than get an education. How does that happen?
They are learning commerce.
How does that happen? And we know why it happens, because it is an illegal drug, okay? And it is sold illegally. And even though we now have places where you can buy marijuana, okay?
Yes, you can.
You can. Why is it that the illegal trade still exists? Why is
there's
that?
A couple of reasons. One, the barrier to obtaining it usually requires having to visit a physician and have them give you a prescription for it.
Sure.
And most doctors, would rather give you a prescription for that than the prescription painkiller that you otherwise might get prescribed.
Well,
the other is because there's a certain romance. You feel like a pirate battling the man.
Well, there you go.
The pirates had a lot of good jokes.
They did. Well, in my view, and this is, it is a drug, okay? And imagine what would happen if your next door neighbor built a still in his backyard and started selling what he contained, New Orleans bourbon, and he put corn mash in there and corn syrup in there, pure grain alcohol, whatever, he did it, and people came to his house and paid him less money than what buying a fifth of real bourbon that has licensed and is been checked by authorities. He's going to sell it to you for less. Should he be able to do that?
Annoyed by the traffic.
Should he be able to do that?
Well, about that, there is a carve out. There's a very small carve out about making small quantities
For yourself.
For yourself as a giveaway.
Well, yeah. My question was very specific. Should he be able to sell that? And the answer is no. No, and no.
Yeah, there's all kinds of zoning laws.
No, it has to do with health. It has to do with what are you selling to people? We're not going to let you sell something that you make in your backyard. You couldn't. Okay, let's say, okay, can you go into a store and say, oh, would you stock these Twinkies? I make these Twinkies in my own house. And you want us to do what? Well, sell them to the public, and I'll give you some of the money, and I'll take the rest of the money. No.
I'm willing to bet you what the reaction of the store would be. Get lost.
Take a walk, exactly, and that is the legal
if they want
judgment.
polite, it'll be thank you, but no.
That's the legal
Legal
judgment.
judgment of several layers.
That's the legal judgment we follow. okay? And we know it's the best for us. Now, we can buy things from the store that the manufacturer, who's licensed and everything else, finds out that a rat jumped in the vat before they made whatever juice they made or whatever Twinkie filling they made, and they will recall it. So we know even under the best efforts, accidents happen. So we certainly aren't going to let you sell something in a store that no one has looked at. Okay.
Yeah,
Matthew, I got to get to another caller. You got anything else you want to share?
Well, the store would have such a lawsuit against them if one of those homemade products was caused some kind of illness.
That is correct. That is correct, sir.
The insurance company would probably make the payment, and rather than just cancel the policy,
You're right.
they would probably just shoot the owner of the store.
All right. Matthew, have a good weekend.
You
We'll
do
talk
the
with you
same.
later. Okay.
Ciao.
Ciao. All right. Dotsy. We have Dotsy on line 2. Hello, Dotsy. How are you?
Yeah, hey, Jack. I actually was calling on your moral versus legal judgments, but Matthew actually brought something up that's kind of important locally.
Sure.
It's also moral versus legal. We have never, people so worried about Trump and all that stuff, you know, especially Republicans need to care about this. Some of the biggest politicians who they all should be called M, not RRD. They should for mafia in Jefferson. But nothing ever gets prosecuted in Jefferson. Oh, by the way, let me say right now on air, I'm not suicidal because I'm in a lot of somebody's crosshairs right now.
Oh,
So they're not gonna
I'm
do a
unaware of that, Dotsy, and I'm glad you're not suicidal. It's a good thing.
They're not going to do a Chris Roberts on me.
Okay.
And
All
I
right.
warned them too. But we have a real serious issue here. The somebodies of Jefferson, the Flying Wretches of Jefferson Parish, are trying to put a ringer in as U.S. attorney. Okay?
Oh.
Somebody who will catch and kill their evidence.
Oh.
And one of the main things is nothing ever gets prosecuted in Jefferson Parish.
Dotsy, stop for a moment. I have to take a break, and I want you to continue this. So
okay.
do you mind holding on through the break?
Oh, not at all.
Okay. All right, Dotsy. And then I'll hear the rest of your story after the break. This is the Jack Clegg Show. We'll be back in a few moments.
Crow and Crescent provides customizable handmade gifts, tumbler cups, and much more. All items are handmade with care and can be gift wrapped with personalized messages. For more information, you can find us at crowandcrescent.com and on Instagram. Crow and Crescent, let us show you the right gift for any occasion.
Hi, this is Martina McBride. When I'm on stage performing, it takes a team of talented people from all walks of life to make the show a success. I couldn't do it without everyone's help. When we embrace diverse backgrounds and work together as one, there's no challenge or problem too big to overcome. Our strength lies in our diversity.
This public service message has been brought to you courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Tired of waiting for dinner? Meet Brava, the revolutionary countertop oven that uses pure light to cook your food hotter, faster, and with incredible precision. With 3 independent cooking zones and powerful searing, Brava cooks meals 2 to 4 times faster than traditional ovens. No preheating, no guesswork. And now for a limited time, enter Chew on This at checkout and get $200 off your Brava oven. Brava, pure light, perfect food. Shop now at brava.com.
Hey folks, it's Jeff Cruier. I've been with WGSO for 17 years as host and now president and general manager. WGSO is a community-based radio station, a nonprofit, locally operated. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasizing local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available for you. Take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Join me, BJ Rust, every Saturday night at 7 p.m. for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 998.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Republican Senator Steve Daines of Montana says he hopes corporate sponsors of NPR follow the lead of Congress in pressuring the broadcaster to end its pursuit of a liberal agenda.
Like we're seeing right now in corporate America, they're starting to dismantle their DEI programs and their woke agendas to bring it back to original mission, which is looking out for shareholders and doing the right thing for their businesses and not placating the radical left.
Dean simply wants fair coverage of the issues.
That they should also tell PBS and NPR, please depoliticize, move this thing back to the middle, be providing information, not editorial comments of what's going on in the world, and worse than that, promoting a left agenda.
Dean spoke to the Salem Radio Network. 2 fired FTC commissioners may get their jobs back.
A federal judge has ruled that President Donald Trump illegally fired 2 Democratic members of the Federal Trade Commission earlier this year, ruling that Rebecca Kelly Slaughter can now resume her duties because Trump lacks the constitutional authority to remove her. Slaughter has 4 years left in her term as commissioner. The other plaintiff in the case had already resigned. The FTC is a regulator created by Congress that enforces consumer protection measures and antitrust legislation. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Under intense pressure from President Trump's own supporters, his administration now says it will push a court to unseal secret documents related to Jeffrey Epstein's case. It's an effort to put to rest for good a political crisis largely of the administration's own making. On Wall Street, a mixed day as the Dow was down by 142 points, the Nasdaq rose 10, the S&P down a fraction. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
President Trump signing into law a new set of regulations for a type of cryptocurrency. The Genius Act sets initial guardrails and consumer protections for stablecoins. 2 key mergers could be coming soon. Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern are in talks to create the largest railroad in North America. And Chevron appears to be about ready to complete a deal with Hess. Asian countries offering to buy more U.S. liquefied natural gas to ease trade tensions with the Trump administration. Vietnam, Japan, and South Korea are mulling long-term LNG deals that might help reduce American trade deficits. Wall Street closed its third winning weekend of the last 4. The Dow was off 142 points today, though. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Jason Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
The flood watch continues through early tonight. Early evening storm or 2. It all diminishes tonight, and some of it comes back tomorrow as that tropical low continues to pull away. Gradually, we're stepping down that rain chance. In the morning tomorrow, a muggy 70s to 80. Scattered storms in the morning tomorrow, scattered to likely for around a 2. Could be heavy. Low 90s for the hottest, then 40-50% Sunday, about 30-40% Monday, lower to middle 90s. This Saturday, it's game time at Louisiana CardCon, happening at the Castine Center, Mandeville. Buy, sell, trade, sports cars, Pokemon, comics, coins, and so much more with top vendors. National champion autograph guests will be signing. Doors open at 9 a.m., and it's all happening at LouisianaCardCon.com. Check it out now for event details. Don't miss the biggest card show of the summer, LouisianaCardCon.com, where the hobby comes alive. $5 admission at the door.
The views and opinions expressed during this show are those of the host and guests only. In no way do they represent the views, positions, or opinions expressed or implied of WGSO 990 AM or North Shore Radio Incorporated.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. We have another hour, so we have plenty to cover. And as you know, you're listening to WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com for the audio podcast. And the Jack Clegg Show is on YouTube. Okay, and the calling number is 504-556-9696. Join the wonderful callers and weigh in on the issues of today. Speaking of wonderful callers, we have Miss Dotsy. Miss Dotsy,
Hey, Jackson.
I interrupted you to do commercials and sell things and hear that Donald Trump had illegally fired somebody. And this is the classic media story. This woman who was doing the reporting joyfully, it sounded with great glee that she said President Trump illegally fired an FTC commissioner. And she had such joy in her voice. But one part of the story she didn't tell, and that is that the decision is being appealed. Okay. Anyway, Dachi, let's get back to what you were talking about, an issue involving Jefferson Parish. What is the nature of the issue? I really don't know.
Pedophilia.
Oh, Jesus.
A person named Pascal Calagero, the son of a Supreme Court justice, was selling a little girl from age 14 for 2 years out of his home just at the edge of Old Metairie. This is about 5 or 6 years ago that he actually was prosecuted, which is a miracle in and of itself because Kenneth Polite was so lazy, I don't know who wiped his butt. So he did prosecute this guy successfully, pled him out, and he was going to cooperate. The guy admitted to selling this little girl for 2 years, drove her all over Jefferson Parish.
Oh, my God.
And he pled out, he took 10 years, and he agreed to cooperate. We've never heard from him again. Now, why would that be? And why was he even prosecuted in the first place? Now, let me just say for you, Jack, I'm not going to say the names of any of these politicians on your program. I have them all over social media, and that's why, they would love to see me end up like Chris Roberts hanging somewhere in Plaquemine Parish, but they won't because Jesus the Christ has killed 4 people who threatened me in the past. I don't think they want to approach it.
It's good to have powerful friends.
It's very good. And even when I was praying, I prayed for help, and I said, "You had to kill him." And clear as day, he said, "Don't tell me how to do my job, B."
All right. Well,
he knows who is reformable and who isn't. Well, 90% of the politicians, the elected officials in Jefferson, are crooks. Most of them are just thieves. Let's be grateful for that. But many of them are involved in child trafficking. But it's not just child trafficking, it's slaving, sex slaving, and child slaving. I'm not going to say the names on air.
Okay. We don't want defamation issues.
But it's an open secret. It's an open secret, Jack. I mean, they laugh about it. They snicker about it.
Oh, boy.
Never prosecuted. Never prosecuted. We need the names of those Johns because they are business turds, and politicians in Jefferson Parish. We need their names. That's why they're putting in a ringer. They're attempting to.
Well, I remember, and I remember. I don't know if you remember this, Dotsy. The issue marrying the pedophilia and the pedophilia rings to politicians. The first time I remember hearing it involved, remember the pizza place in Washington, D.C. that involved Hillary Clinton friends?
Yeah, but see, that wasn't proven. That's conspiracy theory.
Well, I remember hearing what I was saying is
out.
Okay.
This guy pled out. This is not conspiracy theory.
No, I wasn't saying. I wasn't saying that what you said was wrong or that it doesn't happen. What I was saying is the first time I heard that politicians were involved in such activities was that. Then I've heard more and more, and then of course now we have the Epstein matter, which involves businessmen, politicians, everyone supposedly And the topic today of moral judgment versus legal judgment should not protect these guys in any way.
People need to think about their children
Exactly.
and their one person. I actually published the man's address on my Facebook page, and my Facebook friend went insane. Her sister-in-law lived next door to him.
Oh my
she was
gosh!
Absolutely livid. She had no idea. She saw the man. She saw the girl. She had no idea. See, this is what goes on when people don't take enough of an interest. You know, the moral,
yes.
they're so moral. Oh, we need to do this. We have to have a George Floyd Day. Why don't you just get up off your behinds and actually pay attention to what's going on around you and get involved? I have literally lost friends. I've lost friends for getting involved. They're like, Dotsie, I'm telling you, I'm going to call you, and your siblings are going to tell me you've been murdered.
Right.
Yeah, but I died doing something I like doing.
Well, and the answer to this is when you take an action, whoever you are, okay, you know whether the action is in good faith or bad faith. You know what it is. And if the action is in good faith, if you truly believe, and your mind is open to being changed, and that's really important, because sometimes you can have three pieces of evidence that sound really good, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh no, it was somebody else, and so forth. But the point being,
I mean, when you really get involved at the granular level, for instance, I called everybody in Jefferson Parish. I went all through the DA's office. Joe Lapinto never called me back. I had a trafficking ring at my apartment house. So nobody cared. So what did I do? I've done this stuff my whole life. It's my very dangerous hobby. They just thought I was a stupid old white woman. So I chatted up the perpetrator. I chatted up the girls. I was just a dumb white woman, right?
Sure.
And I played stupid to the point where they were like, oh, hey, Miss Dotsie.
Sure.
So I'm collecting. I'm logging. I'm taking numbers. I'm taking everything down.
Sure.
Couldn't get anybody interested. I was just reporting a plain old regular garden variety drug drop, which I always did, at our dumpster, which was pretty funny too. Again, playing the stupid white woman. I was like, okay, y'all have a good night. Well, I called the cops, and there two cops showed. One was a middle-aged guy. This guy had fire in the belly. I could see it in his eyes. He still loved being a JP.
Yeah.
I said, oh my dear God, is this the one? And he was. He said, hey, wow. Got any other information? I said, listen, would you be interested in it? And we went over a long line. I said, this is what I'm thinking could be done. He said, oh my God, I know that car. I was stopping for kids.
Well,
we went down the line. He says, I love the way you think. I said, but we got to get it around your crooked sheriff. He said, oh, I'm making a traffic stop. He would expect me to make a traffic stop, don't you think, ma'am? Well, 2 weeks later, this guy did everything the way we talked about it, and the perpetrator was back in Angola.
There you go.
You've got to get involved
Yes.
at that level because
Yes.
God expects you to.
There you go.
And
Dotsie,
also send help. Send help.
What a good story. And I'm a big guy on education. And you've educated some people. Thank you very much. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, folks, speaking of education, there's another issue that I wanted to talk about today on this issue of moral judgment versus legal judgment. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to get the author of a report that just came out last week. Shockingly, and I really want to get this guy on the air. And he is an educator, and he writes for a publication that goes to teachers. And the association that does the national education tests for math, for reading, and so forth, had some tremendous scores for Louisiana and Mississippi and Tennessee and Alabama compared to the rest of the states for reading and math at the fourth grade level. And I'm thinking, wow, this is great. His name is Russell Hess, H-E-S, Richard Hess. I'm sorry, not Russell, Richard Hess. And we're going to have him on in a couple of weeks to talk about education. Dotsie educated us about some things you can do if you think something's wrong. Don't ignore it. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But if you're right, you've helped people. Okay, we're going to take another break. We're going to come back with the Jack Clegg Show in a few moments.
Pop quiz, New Orleans. What are the two things you're never supposed to talk about in mixed company? If you answer James Carville as an LSU fan and the genius of giving minimum age earning janitors the keys to central lockup, wrong. But if you put your I'm a proud Catholic New Orleanian thinking cap on and answered religion and politics, winner, winner, Popeye's chicken dinner. And the grand prize is I return to Morning Drive, where I belong, at 6 to 7 a.m. here on WGSO and simulcast on CrusadeChannel.com.
Hey, do you ever wonder who really listens to talk radio? Or even, who is this new Lisa and why are we going live with her? And what does it mean to be unscripted? Hey guys, my name is Lisa Leonardi and I am the new talk show host of Live with Lisa Unscripted. My show is about living our unique NOLA life with a touch of inappropriateness and a ton of side-splitting laughs to get you home every Monday at 4 p.m. here on WGSO 990 AM.
Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
Hi, this is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Join us for America's entertainment pop culture talk show right here on WGSO every Sunday night at 6.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
As usual, we'll be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And taking your phone calls.
You can find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, wait, Jeff, I'm never wrong. Remember, happy wife, happy life.
So we'll have a lot to talk about on He Said, She Said.
Listen to the Crew of Crew Air, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Right here on WGSO.
Hey, fellow patriots, I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
We're the Jambalaya Boys from the Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya Show.
Join us Saturday afternoons from 1 to 2 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
God, family, and country.
Now is your chance to get rid of those old pants for good. WGSO supports the New Orleans homeless community through Grace at the Green Light. Grace needs to restock its free clothing closet for the unsheltered with new or gently used menswear. Donations accepted Tuesday and Saturday mornings, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. at 1526 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard, or anytime at donate.graceatthegreenlight.org.
I'm Richard Bienvenu. Join me every Monday at 5 p.m. Whether you're local or just love New Orleans, this is your show. That's Completely New Orleans on WGSO.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to where are we in the sixth inning right now? Yes, we are. The sixth inning of the Jack Clegg Show here on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com, and YouTube. Okay, this story I heard from a friend of mine this morning. He sent me the article. And we've been hearing about immigration since Trump was elected. And by but by most people's judgment, he's done a phenomenal job on protecting us from incursions from the southern border. Okay, for 4 years, we had incursions from the southern border. The individuals snuck across. When they got caught, they were released into the United States claiming political asylum when they had no basis to even claim that. But they wanted to be in the United States. Okay. Duh. Does anybody know why they want to be here? Because they get free stuff being here. The countries they came from don't give them free stuff. Okay. Now, so we've been hearing over the last several months about the various efforts of the members of ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, to round up people who don't belong here. Okay. Again, the topic, moral judgment, legal judgment. There are many people here who still believe we shouldn't have a border. Now, I don't know where they learned this, but they generally, they're universally considered wrong. Okay? There's no country in the world that has open borders and lets anybody in when they want to come in. It just doesn't work that way. But we have this romantic idea that, well, if they have a better life here, they should live here. What they're really saying to you is they're willing to do the jobs I don't want to do. So you should let them do those jobs. Okay. So we have multiple levels of wrongdoing here and breaching of the legal judgments that our Congress, our presidents have put in place until our last president. And those legal judgments are, you can't come in our country without entering from a port of entry. When you enter in a port of entry and you demand legal asylum or political asylum, President Trump had a way to deal with it. He said, okay, fine. You get to stay in Mexico. We have a camp there for you. Well, President Biden didn't like that. He thought more people should come in. Okay, what's the reason? What's the distinction between what President Trump wanted to do and what President Biden wanted to do? I can tell you why Trump wanted to do it, because he knows American workers and American people like their property. What do you mean, like their property, Jack? Well, when people come from other countries that don't have jobs, don't have houses, don't have food to eat, our government gives it to them. Does it belong to the government? Oh, no. The government buys it from farmers. They buy it. They rent hotel rooms. They do that. Well, how's the government pay that? Oh, they're using your money to pay it. Oh, I see. So I'm paying for these people to come here, and they're going to try to take my job at the same time? That's that. Sorry, we don't want that. Oh, and by the way, there are employers that will hire these people for much less than the minimum wage, and they will work it. Oh, and by the way, there are some employers that will hire children to do their jobs. And we know this happened in the marijuana incident in California. But my story is about Louisiana is even more interesting. All right. There are multiple ways you can come into the country. Work visas. We've had work visas for people in the agricultural field for years, where they'd come here, they'd get a 6-month or 9-month visa. When they finished, they went home. Okay, then they came back and worked the next year. They worked on visas. Okay, visa programs. Other occupations as well. All right. We also have something called a U visa, the letter U, like U-Haul or I love you with a big U on it. Okay. The U visa exists. Now, what's a U visa? Okay. This is one that Congress made because oftentimes people abuse immigrants. What do you mean they abuse them? Oh, they will force them to work. They'll force their children into slavery. They will force their children into pedophilia, where they become the victims of sick people who have sex with them. Okay, so this happens. Okay, well, one of the means in which the bad guys protect themselves is by dealing with these immigrants. Because the first thing they do is, if they get caught dealing with their children or other aspects, The bad guys make it known that these people are illegal immigrants, and they get them out of the country. They do everything they can to have them deported. Why? Why? Well, because if they're not here, they can't testify against them. That's why. So they created the U visa, the letter U visa. Okay. And so if you are the victim or a witness of a crime, you can qualify to get a U visa. All right. That sounds pretty good, right? How could that go wrong? Well, we in Louisiana have figured out a way to take advantage of that system. Okay. Just this last week, a 62-count indictment by a federal grand jury was issued for illegal U visas. How do you get an illegal U visa? All right. This is the tale. That's amazing. All right. A guy by the name of Patel, that's the Indian name, that is used like our Cash Patel is the he's from India as well. His family's from India. And it's like O'Reilly being an Irish name. Patel is an Indian name. Okay, Mr. Patel ran a subway station. That's Subway with the footlongs, the food. Okay, that's what he did. And he also got pretty ambitious. What he decided to do was meet some dishonest sheriffs. In fact, there were 3 of them in Oakdale. Chief of police, sheriff, etc. He paid them up to $5,000 to do what? To make a fake police report of a crime that didn't exist. The victim of the crime was the illegal immigrant. And so they had a police form. When you get a police report, they had the police report. Their name was on that. The criminal, it was generally armed robbery, serious crime, right? Against this immigrant, which never happened. Never happened. But the illegal immigrant took it to immigration, and what did they get? A U visa. They got a visa to stay here. How long did this go on? Well, let's see. It's in the report here from 2015 to 2025 when it just happened. Okay, we got to come back. We got to take a break. Go get your U visa while I'm off the line. Back with the Jack Clegg Show in a moment.
I'm Coates. I'm Michelle Godin. We are Baldy and the Blonde. Wednesdays at 4 on WGSO. Follow us on X at Baldy Blonde.
That's not America.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 4:30 or 5:30 a.m. for Turning Point on the community voice of the Crescent City WGSO.
Don't miss Chew on This with John Clement and Patty B. 1 p.m. Saturdays on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com. New time, same great flavor.
WGSO 990 AM is the only locally owned and operated talk station in New Orleans. We feature 20 local hosts discussing a variety of topics. In an era when the daily newspaper is being discontinued and our competitors are out-of-state media conglomerates, we ask you, our listeners, to support local programming on a local station. To advertise or sponsor one of our great shows, contact me at jeff@wgso.com or call 504-669-6076.
Hi, this is Rusty from the Olive Branch Cafe. The Olive Branch Cafe pizzas, pastas, and salads are the West Bank's favorites. We use only the freshest ingredients and prepare everything daily, like our lasagna, Caesar salad with our homemade Caesar dressing, and signature pizzas, including our Cajun trio, smoked sausage, chicken, and crawfish. Our lunch menu includes wraps, subs, soups, and salads, and everything starts at less than $12. West Bank born, West Bank raised, West Bank proud. The Olive Branch Cafe, Marrero and Algiers.
Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Andrew Greenstein. Republicans had been screaming for it for years, and finally they got it. They have cut off all federal funding for PBS and NPR, stripping more than $1 billion from public TV and radio. Jay Curtis, the general manager at Monroe NPR station KEDM, says this is devastating to all NPR stations, especially his.
For many big city stations, it may only be 9 or 10% of your budget. For a station like KEDM that covers a lot of rural areas, it's 22% of our budget, about $145,000.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy was among the Republicans who led the push to cut off federal funding to public broadcasting. In several floor speeches, including Wednesday, Kennedy said the broadcasting landscape has changed dramatically since the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was founded more than 50 years ago.
American people have access to all forms of media, streaming, cable TV, network TV, TikTok, Twitter, newspapers.
LRN.
No more mold, no more damage, no more outdated old bathroom, no more slipping and hurting, no more stress. Make your ordinary bathroom extraordinary for only $99 per month. New shower, new door, new tub, new wall, new anti-slip technology. Be stress-free. Call 800-770-5322. BCI Bath and Shower is made in America for the highest quality. Ask about our military and senior discounts. Your dream bathroom in as little as 1 day. First 50 callers save $1,500 on a never clear glass treated door. Call now for free premium color upgrades. 800-770-5322. Call BCI Bath and Shower, the leader in bathroom remodeling. Be smart, safe, and stay a step ahead of inflation with our interest-free financing options. Call 800-770-5322. Love your bathroom with free upgrades. Call 800-770-5322. That's 800-770-5322.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
This is Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
Chef Jamie Gwen here. Tune in for delicious conversation and let me feed your soul every Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Hi, everybody. This is Jackie Gumbo. I'm inviting you to join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo, heard only on WGSO 990 AM or WGSO.com.
I'm pet trendologist Charlotte Reed. Listen to the Pet Buzz airing every Saturday at 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. We are in the 7th of 8 innings, and we're going to finish up on the story that I'm not laughing because it's funny, but I'm laughing because this immigration issue is it's taking on epic proportions. Okay, we know people cheated. They got across. This story about Mr. Patel, the Subway Subway store owner. He didn't own a Subway, he owned the Subway store. Okay. Since 2014, okay, so for 11 years, a total of 24 people paid $5,000 each to get a U visa. A U visa is given to the victim of a crime or witness to that crime, so they won't be extradited or sent out of the United States for being illegal immigrants, because they want to be, the government wants them to be here to testify as witnesses in the case, in their victims. Okay, that's great. How many people were involved? 24 over this period. Each one was worth $5,000, so that's some sizable money over time. Okay, so all 24, okay, shared something. Their last name was Patel, the same name as the Subway store owner. Now, the report didn't say they were family members. We don't know. It took place in Allen Parish, which is in the southwest part of the state. And if convicted, the sheriffs and the marshal and the defendants stand up to 4 to 9 years total, depending on what they've done, what part of the scheme they were involved in. So in terms of immigration, I thought that would be an interesting story to tell people, that it's not just greedy employers who hire these immigrants and want them to come over. We have sheriffs, law enforcement officers in Louisiana who are doing it. Now, does that mean they're doing it in other states? I don't know, but this is the first I've heard of a U visa. It's pretty, it protects an unlawful alien from being deported because they have that immigration document, the U visa. So interesting. Okay, I'm gonna shift gears to another part of the same topic that we're talking about, and this is a little bit different, and we got half a segment here and another segment to go into it. And if you have any comments about it, call. What I'm going to talk about, we've talked about moral judgments that people make, and we've talked about legal judgments, these two that happen. Okay, the sheriffs in Allen Parish, those guys, they made poor legal judgments. They falsified records so someone could stay. Now, did they minimize the moral judgment? Did they say, well, wait, they're just people living here, no big deal, it doesn't hurt anybody? But they certainly ignored being a law officer and taking a bribe and then creating a false document. You don't do that when you're in law enforcement. It's one of the things you learn. You don't do that. So, again, they're innocent until proven guilty, but the story sounds pretty interesting. Okay. There's a third kind of judgment that we don't often see. The first time I heard about it happening was in World War II. And who was exercising the judgment? This is a religious or cultural judgment that is completely gone. All right. During World War II, we fought the European forces, Germans and others. And the fight was to the death. Many people gave up and so forth. But we never ran against this except when the war broke out in the Pacific. Our enemy was Japan. Japan had attacked the United States. Now, today, our relationships with Japan are great. Our relationships with their people are great. But back then, in the early 40s, starting in 1942, the relationship wasn't good. There was a cult in Japan that treated the emperor as if he was godlike. Okay, Jack, that sounds a little bit, you're exaggerating that. That can't be true. Okay. If you go to the World War II Museum here in New Orleans, and you should, everyone should, you can learn so much there. You can decide whether I'm exaggerating or not. But I'll make it easier for you. Okay? During the European campaign, okay, with the Nazis, the evil Nazis, how horrible they were, and we all heard about all that, and they were. I don't remember a single suicide bomber in Europe doing that. I don't remember. Now, what about Japan? Were there suicide bombers from Japan? Oh, yeah, they were. And when I say bombers, I'm not talking about a backpack with dynamite. I'm talking about an airplane where this pilot would fly his plane right into a U.S. vessel. This was suicide bombers in real bombers. They didn't want to take a chance that they might get miss a target with the bomb from their plane, so they literally killed themselves, committed suicide. And I mean, we all heard about it as we were growing up, and we heard stories about Japan. No one dwelled on it. It was so unusual, but it happened, and it's certainly a fact. And we didn't think it would happen again until when? We sent troops to the Middle East. And then we had suicide bombers again. Now, the suicide bombers flying planes in World War II for Japan were doing it with a cult-like following for the Emperor of Japan, the leader. And they gave their lives up. Okay, they were so, what's the word? Brainwashed, I'll use that word, that there were people in Japan as the U.S. troops were approaching Japan who literally committed suicide rather than the fear they had of being raped and pillaged by American troops, which American troops didn't do. There was no litany of crimes committed by U.S. troops. That wasn't the case. But they knew what their troops did in other countries, and they expected the same thing to happen to them. Okay. Now, let's move forward into our day and age. Are there suicide bombers today? Sure. Where do they come from? Islam. I am not saying that all Islamists are suicide bombers. I'm not even saying all Islamists are dangerous. I'm not saying that. But there's something in that religion that we need to know about. Why do I say that? Why do I say that with some urgency? Well, because our country is being filled in certain areas with people who want to do things differently. Okay. Most Americans, I want to say all Americans should, but most Americans do expect that when foreigners come to our country, they will assimilate. We know what that word means. They will try to be like Americans. Why else would you come here? Why would you come to America if you didn't want to be an American? Well, people of Islam come here because they consider us to be, not all, and I'm certainly, please don't misquote me. They all don't think this, but many, many do characterize us as the infidels. And it's their presence here to change us into Muslims or eliminate us. Okay. Now, is this just talk? I'm going to give you an example of something that just happened this week that proves it's not just talk. All right. We know, we sent lots of troops to Iraq and Syria starting in 2003. That was after 9/11. And this was to stop these terrorist organizations, particularly the one that was called ISIS. Okay. And ISIS, probably of all of them, and I don't have the scientific numbers in front of me, but ISIS had the suicide bombers who did it for religion. So we have moral judgments, we have legal judgments, and now we have in our own day and time religious judgments that result in killing people. Whoa, that's a big one. That's a big one. And so we're going to take one more break. Back to the 8th inning after the break. We'll be back in a minute with the Jack Clegg Show.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Support comes from Satchmo Summerfest, presented by New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Fund, a friends and family friendly festival on August 2nd and 3rd at the New Orleans Jazz Museum, featuring live music, local food vendors, and discussions with Satchmo scholars from noon until 8 p.m. For more information, go to satchmosummerfest.org.
Broadcasting from deep within the Louisiana Purchase, beneath spacious skies, overlooking the fruited plain, and smack dab in the land of the free. The American Ground Radio Program with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr, where freedom grows. Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr. Here on WGSO 990 AM.
Tired of placing multiple calls to multiple vendors and getting the runaround? Turn to one resource who can get it done. Sir Speedy. We provide a wide spectrum of print, signs, and marketing services, all backed by more than 5 decades of experience. So when you need that new brochure, direct marketing campaign, or signage to promote your brand, give us a call at 504-586-9812 or visit us online at SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com. Everything you need, one resource, Sir Speedy.
Don't get stuck in boring talk radio. Give it a much-needed splash of laughs and a little Southern Louisiana flavor with Implicit Bias Radio. I'm Kavan Bordelon. Join the crew and I each Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. as we give our thoughts on what's going down around the country. We'll crack open a fresh bottle of whiskey each week as we talk about what's swirling around in our heads and in the glasses. The Implicit Bias Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on WGSO 990 AM.
Pop quiz, New Orleans. What are the 2 things you're never supposed to talk about in mixed company? If you answer James Carville as an LSU fan and the genius of giving minimum age earning janitors the keys to central lockup, wrong. But if you put your I'm a proud Catholic New Orleanian thinking cap on and answered religion and politics, winner, winner, Popeye's chicken dinner. And the grand prize is I return to Morning Drive, where I belong, at 6 to 7 a.m. here on WGSO and simulcast on CrusadeChannel.com.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the 8th inning, the final inning of the Jack Clegg Show this Friday. Thanks for listening through the show. I want to talk about this last issue, and that is religious judgment. Okay. Now, many issues, abortion is one, okay? Gay rights is another, that implicate religious judgments, okay? And most religions in the world have those judgments. And what they don't do, most religions don't say, if you don't follow what we say, we will kill you. They don't do that. The religion, and just recently, the Pope, Pope Leo, who's online? All right, let's get to Mark from Indiana for a moment. Mark, you gave us a call. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, buddy. I was just wanting to pose a question to you.
Go right
You're
ahead.
Talking about different judgments, moral and justice. And,
Sure.
Do you think if the American people don't see some accountability soon with our crooked government officials, that we might need another form of judgment, such as vigilante judgment?
Boy.
I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Well, okay, thanks, Mark. And what a great question. And it's logical because it's what we're talking about. I'm going to answer that with an example in what's going on today in the world. All right. There was an article last week, and I was going to talk about this today, but it got lost in the shuffle, about Poland. All right. Poland had many, many, many Middle Eastern immigrants. Okay. And they did not like them. They were not helping. They were not in, and they wanted to deport them. And they kicked them out, but they sent them to Germany because Germany was more accepting of these particular folks. Okay. Well, the Germans didn't like them either. So the Germans pushed them north back to Poland. Okay. The Polish military went to the border and tried to push them back. So they did successfully push them back. Well, then the immigrants decided, well, we'll do it a little sneakier. We'll go individually. And they avoided the main highways. They avoided the main ports of entry. And they just went in through these small towns that were on the border. Who stopped them? Individuals in those areas, not the police, not the army, but there were individuals in those countries, captured these folks and pushed them back over the German border. Okay, now, what's the difference with what they did and vigilantism? Well, it's kind of vigilantism. Okay, they weren't authorized. They weren't officially Polish army or military or police. They were just citizens doing their thing. Probably wrong. If someone got hurt, probably liable, maybe. I don't know Polish law, but I know if it happened here, they would be. And so did they do their home country a favor? Well, I believe they think they do, and many of the Polish people probably think they do. But the question is, did that get into vigilantism? All right. So the next question, okay, and I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. I saw 2 articles about it, and they didn't talk about whether the people were injured but they certainly were captured by civilians, and the civilians took them to the German border and pushed them over. They were in Germany. And then they couldn't come back because the Polish troops were there next, and they wouldn't let them come back in. Okay. So the answer to that question is I don't think they're going to be prosecuted in Poland for what they did. All right. Now, here's the question here in America. All right. Will Americans start turning on illegal aliens? Now, my recommendation, 40-some years of law, my recommendation is don't. My recommendation is contact ICE, give them all the information you have. If you don't have their addresses, get their addresses. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with gathering information and passing it along. That's fine. Physically holding someone, you don't want to do that. So draw the line at that. Kind of what Dotsy was talking about when she called, and she cooperated with a person and gathered information and gave it to someone in law enforcement. That would be my answer. That would be my suggestion to somebody. Now, should they do it? Why not? Why not? Although many in this country refuse to recognize that if you come into this country without a visa and you haven't made a political asylum claim, you're here illegally. That's illegal. You cannot be here. Okay? And so now I know this is an unpopular position. And even our own politicians are saying, well, we're going to get rid of the criminals first. But the reality of it is we have millions and millions and millions of people who are here illegally. And I believe what the proper way to do is certainly go after the criminals first. That's okay. I like what the government is saying. Please self-deport, and then apply to come back in. Why not? Because if you get deported and your name is on a list and you were hiding here, and no matter what you were doing, if you weren't a citizen and you didn't have a visa, you didn't have a legal reason to be here, you won't be able to come back. Now, is the hope that, well, there won't be any more Republicans, there won't be any more Trump in a while. So if I can last until they're gone, I'll stay here. Well, I don't think that's too smart. But to answer Mark's question, if you have information, share it. If you don't get personally involved. I wouldn't do that. That exposes you to liability you don't want to have. Okay. Now, if you see somebody beating somebody up, he's an illegal alien beating up some young kid or whatever it is, I mean, that's its own issue. Okay. The story I was about to say when Mark is a story about Florida, when Mark called. Religious judgment. There is a terrorist plot to kill former American soldiers from Iraq and Syria. These are Americans who served there. The Pentagon has provided in Florida those retired Army and Marine people with notice that you must be diligent because something is coming up. Okay. That's coming from somewhere, and I'm saying it's religious judgment that is 100% wrong. Okay, folks, there were a lot to cover. I wish we had more time. Next Friday, we'll be back. Give us a call.
Are you looking for the perfect personalized gift for your friends and loved ones? Then look no further than Crow and Crescent. Crow and Crescent provides customizable handmade gifts